Okay, it is exactly 8:30 p.m. and it is Friday, May the 14th, 2021. Welcome to the open house and week one session of Drugs and Crime for term two. I will be your professor with you for the next 5.5 weeks and all the way until I think it's May 18th that the course actually ends, but I will be sharing the details on it. And so this evening, I will share some things with you. Some you should already know. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure. So I'm going to go ahead and start and share my screen. I do highly recommend that you pay close attention to everything that I talk about. I'm going to do the student preview to start out. Start preview. Okay, this is what you guys see. And so I'm going to start out by showing you some of these things. For emails, this is where you would find your emails and so forth, and the emails that I've sent you. You don't see them here because this is the student view, because I now am the student in this place and I haven't sent any to you. Okay. Then next to it is your grade book. In your grade book, it lists all of the assignments. And of course here, this shows the due dates that are actually in the course. As you know, discussion posts are due tonight. Are due tomorrow night, I should say. Both initial posts and reply posts are due as well. Okay. You will notice that we operate on the basis of the reply post. And each week you'll see that. And so we're going to get into the discussions in a few minutes, the topics. And then there's a written assignment, which I'm going to go over in a few minutes. And then there is a quiz that is timed. And then your live classroom lecture. So I will be discussing that in just a few minutes. Just incidentally, so that you know, the due dates that are here are correct. This is Sunday, this is Sunday, and this is Sunday. And then these are Saturday. All right, now you should be aware that when you submit everything on Sunday, that by the 21st at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will have graded your assignments for week one. And each week, that's how it will be done. On Fridays at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, so that you will have them. All right. So now let's go to the discussions. Each week you have a discussion. So this week your discussion is classification of drugs and controlled substances. And we're going to go over the details of that in just a few minutes. All right. But up here is the lounge. That's where each of you as students have posted information. And because I am operating as a student, there's no response, but you should have some in yours from each other. Then if you scroll down here at the bottom to what they call the course chat, that's how you will see information about me that will help you get started and understand me. And here is my post. All right. So telling you I'm your instructor, and then tells you a little bit about me. Shows this picture. This is me graduating from law school in 1978, Northwestern University. And then we ask you to reply to the post. So if you look at it, then hopefully you would reply in my section. And then here is a mnemonic that involves the word lawyers, but it also includes elements, everything that you need to be successful. And in here is my email address for the school. Now, you'll notice that when you see it other places, it'll have a number 2. It's okay if you don't put the 2 in there. I'll still get it. And this is my personal email, richard@wrightgodisable.net. Feel free to use that. This down here is for calling and texting. You will hardly ever use this number because that's the campus, but I'm off campus, not just because of the pandemic, but because the course is online. So the 630 number is here, and it'll also be in the syllabus. You'll see it as well. Okay. So that's the chat section. And then here is the course calendar. And in the course calendar, I like the month view. And if you were to scroll down for the month, you'll see that the course started on Wednesday. And you see that there's a lecture tonight. You'll see that both your initial post and reply posts are due the 15th. Your written assignment is due the 16th, that's Sunday, along with your live classroom phrase that I will be giving. And then you'll put that in the Dropbox. And then your quiz that is timed. I do encourage students that when you take the quiz, that you should go through the materials that I sent you. I sent you the PowerPoints for chapters 1 and 2 for this week. I don't use those in lectures. Those are for helping you to study. Basically, it's an outline of the chapters. But I don't want you to substitute using the PowerPoints for reading. You should read the chapters as well, because there's material in there that you'll need to be familiar with to complete your assignments and optimize your grades. All right. And so again, these assignments will be due here. You will notice too that starting the 18th, that your initial posts will be due on Tuesdays, and then starting the 19th, your lectures will be taking place at 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Okay. All right. So that's something that you should be aware of. Now, if you want to know about the live lecture and the link, I include that in the announcement, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But I also include it in the live lecture. So you can see that right here. You can open this, copy and paste it, and you can utilize that. Other places, it's clickable, but I'll have to show you that. So now, with the calendar, I do want to take the time to show you what happens here, because I want to go back to the month. Let's look at June. You can see down here that the course ends June 18th, not the 19th, not the 20th. The last assignments that I will accept will be the 18th. Okay? And you got a little while before we get there, but trust me, it comes very fast. And you know, the last lecture is going to be that Wednesday. So you won't have long, to complete it. Well, you'll have your assignment that'll be due along with your discussion post, and then your quiz. Okay. All right. I'll kind of touch on that a little bit during week 5, just a little bit, not a lot. Okay, and then I'll go into more detail during the lecture in week 6. So that's your course calendar. So now let's go and take a look at, I want to show you the syllabus. So again, I want to do the student view so you can see how to find the syllabus. And that's the calendar. Let's get that out of there. Okay. Let's go back to that. Go back to student preview. Okay. I don't know why the calendar keeps popping up there. I want to get rid of that. I want to close out the calendar and go back to student preview. Start it. Oh, I know why that's doing that. I know why that's doing that. It's because I'm still on that. Okay, let me get out of that. No, I'm not in that now. Okay. So let's enter student mode. Start the preview. Let's leave the calendar. Okay. All right, let's get out of the calendar. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now this is the student mode. So if you're going to see the rubric, I mean, not the rubric, I'm sorry. You're going to see, let's move this out of the way. You're going to see the syllabus, and that's what I want to talk about now. I've already covered some things. For those who come in late, you'll have to look at the video. This is the syllabus. I recommend looking at it. It has my name, and then it has my office hours. Here are my office hours. And anyone who's had me in other classes would know this. You can text me, email me, or call me any hour of the day except the 25th hour of the day. And I mean what I say. I respond pretty quickly to students' concerns and questions. Sometimes the emails are slower because this system that they got in here, it's kind of wacky. There's some things that they need to work out on. But if you're going to want me something important, or you have an issue, the best way to reach me is to call me or text me. When you text me, please do me a favor. Tell me who it is, because the number won't mean anything to me. And so tell me who you are as a student, so I'll know what it is, and then tell me what your issue. I will sometimes respond back by texting, but I like to talk to students, so I will generally call and talk to you. My office phone number, as I shared it with you a little earlier in this session, is that number that you're looking at, 630-660-8480. That is this number right here. And if you were to dial it, it would ring. Of course, you wouldn't hear it because I got it on silent mode right now for the lecture. So if anyone else calls me. And so be sure that you use that. My email, this is for the course mail, is richard.wright2@rasmussen.edu. You can There's also the same email without the number 2, and it will come to me also as well. I don't know if it'll go in the course mail or not, but it will come to me oftentimes on my phone. Now, this is very important note. It used to be on the course homepage with the way that it was when we had Blackboard before we went to Ultra. So now I have those same comments to remind you this is not in the rubric, but you need to remember this. Very critical. You are required to conduct research for any papers that you submit. The sole source cannot be the textbook. As you know about the textbook from the PowerPoints as well as from the announcements and the digital book that you have. If you don't use sources other than the text, you will lose 2 points without hesitation. I didn't see that in the rubric. I'm telling you that's an overall rule, okay? All written assignments are required to be an APA, which focuses primarily, there's some other things, citations in the body and references at the end. Don't throw me a gratuitous citation in the paper, because what will end up happening to you if you throw me in a gratuitous citation, you will not be able to operate or do anything. So it's very, 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 very important. Okay. I know that there's a student now who's in here, but you got to open up. I'm gonna have to stop sharing and go back to this, and then I'll come back to this in just a minute. Okay. So you have to activate audio to hear the lecture. Okay. Very important. All right. So now I'm going to go back to sharing. So we're back at the syllabus. It gives you, again, the instructions, that citations and references. There are many reasons why. We'll talk about that. APA is the standard that we utilize at this school. And it's very important that you understand APA. I have sources and resources that are available to help you. Okay, there you go. Now you got it. So now you can hear me. And the other thing is you'll lose points, a point for not providing a cover sheet. Also, I'm going to just say this up front because it's in the instructions. All papers should be in Word document. Do not submit a PDF document. Do not submit a photo shoot or screenshot. I must have Word documents. Okay. So now this talks about your text and the requirements. As you know, your discussion posts, and your discussion posts should be detailed. They shouldn't just be brief. They should reflect critical thinking, which we're going to talk about. But probably most of you already know about critical thinking because many have taken that in their first term, and or you will be taking it. It is a requirement because critical thinking is so important. As one of our transferable skills, we will be talking about that. But we wanted to see your thoughts, what's in this mind here, so that we can be sure that we know that you are analyzing the material, not just copying and pasting materials as well. Okay, so a yes or no response is no good. Oh, while I'm talking about discussions, which you'll see later, I just tell you this anyway, you have to post a discussion before you can see anybody else's. You will not be able to see it until you do it. You'll see that in the module when we get there, but I'm just going to tell you, I do what I call post first. A lot of professors are using that, and the reason for that is to prevent students from taking somebody else's post and adopting it as theirs, or taking some of the language from there. Okay, so you know the due dates. I've already talked about that, so I'm not going to go over that until I get to it again. There's a resource, this page, where you can learn about APA and the library. I'm going to show you that in a few minutes as well. So hold on. These are the requirements for the course. You have the readings that I provide information for you about which chapters apply each week. You have your discussion posts, and make sure that they're respectful and that you respect another person's post, even if you don't agree with them. There will be 5 quizzes throughout this course. Each quiz will contain multiple choice questions. They are timed, and it is very important for you to be aware of how this quiz works. If any of you had me for introduction to corrections, you will know that that quiz gave you 3 opportunities. This does not. There's only one opportunity, and it is timed. Once you start it, it's going to, I do recommend that you've gone through all the material before you take the quiz. And there is a quiz that's due this Sunday. The assignment due each week, dealing with the fact that you mastered the competencies, the things that we discuss in the module as well as in the lectures, and what you discovered from your readings and utilizing the PowerPoint. The final exam, this will be during week 6. So what I'm saying is that week 1 to 5 will have quizzes. The final exam will be 20 multiple choice questions. When you take these tests, they are closed book, which means no sticky notes, no pads with writing on it, and no copies of books or PowerPoints or opening up a second window. You can fail this course for that, and you also can get put out of the school for that, because that deals with the academic integrity issue, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more. So be aware that the way that you study for these quizzes is using the materials from each week. When you get to the final exam, you're going to be dealing with the materials from weeks 1 through 6. All right. Then we have a live classroom session, which I've already given you the times and all of that. And then this is the additional information that you already saw up here. All right, it's given here also. Now the grading criteria is 120 points for your discussions, your assignments, 340 points, and then your quizzes, 75 points. Your final exam is 40 points, and then your live classroom lecture, 30. Don't neglect these smaller ones, because up here you can end up losing your grade level. Here's the grade scale that we operate under. And I'm going to say this up front. Do not ever call me, text me, or email me about how to get a C or less in my class. I will not answer you. I will not help you in that because I don't produce those kind of students. I produce honor roll and dean's lists, which are A and B students. The lowest is B minus. But the point I'm saying is that that's your goal. Your goal should be A, but with some minor errors, you can end up with a B and lose points. Very important for you to know that. That's settled. I'm not going to have to repeat it. This just tells what I will be doing in the course. So now let's talk about the transferable skills that I referred to earlier. Now, these are 6 things that employers have told us that they want any individuals who work for them to be proficient in. And it's very important for you to be proficient in these. And they're not in any order, but they're all important. Communication is the all in all, actually. Written as well as oral communication. Communicate very professionally. I used to teach a course dealing with law enforcement and written and oral communication. And I would always say this, and I say this, I don't care what area of criminal justice you're in. You should not use cuss words to people. You should not escalate people. You should de-escalate. And you should communicate in a professional manner. Your written communication generally results in reports that become exhibits in court cases, and they can be used against you if you're misspelling. As a defense attorney, I've used little minor errors, such as a small I standing by itself. You should already know that the letter I should always be capitalized, whether it's the beginning, in between, or at the end of a sentence. I, never lowercase. I have used that. And what it did was take the person on the stand as I was questioning them, and it put them in a defensive mode, and it threw them off, and I was able to swamp down on them. And I got paid for that as a lawyer. I represented some police officers and family members of police officers as well. So communication is very, very, very important. Critical thinking, I talked about that a little bit earlier. It involves the analysis of the information, application, and the things that you should be familiar with. Again, as I said, there is a course that is entitled Critical Thinking, which is awesome that they added it to the curriculum, because it should be one of your foundational tools in operating. You have to be able to think fast, on your feet, be creative, but within bounds. I'm a natural critical thinker because I went to law school and became a lawyer. And if you look at my background, you'll be able to learn that about me. So critical thinking. Digital fluency. Your books are digital. Your classroom is digital. Your sources that you use to write are digital, such as using Word documents, which you use primarily in this course, but there's also Adobe PDF, but you don't use them in this course. And then there are Excel spreadsheets that you use, and you'll use those a lot of times with science and math. But the point of the matter is digital fluency is here. When I started out, I'm 71 years old as of May 3rd, and I had to get on board with that kind of stuff. Now I'm very proficient with that. Almost all of you have phones. Most of you probably have iPhones. I'm not an iPhone, I'm an Android person. I don't even know how iPhones work. My kids do, but I use the Android. And then diversity and teamwork. We have decided to focus on diversity as very critical to help you to understand the kind of world that we are in. As you know, there are people from all backgrounds, all races, all sects, all national origins, and they should be respected. And as a professional, you should respect them. If you don't understand them, you should be able to learn from them. That involves people that you come into contact with, as well as your coworkers, your superiors, and any others. Respect diversity. This school has what we call, for faculty, a diversity and inclusion council, of which I am a member of, and I pay close attention to the topics that we cover and discuss. Very important. Teamwork. You're going to work with individuals in various aspects. As a criminal justice professional, as a lawyer, I worked with forensic people, I worked with medical people, I worked with police officers, investigators, detectives, paralegals, parole officers, probation officers, correction officer. In fact, I was a police officer myself for 4 years, an investigator as well. So I've done all those things. I've done prosecution in a minor sense. Primarily, I was a criminal defense lawyer, and that was my forte and strength. But I worked with people. I had a team, and you're going to work that way. In this course, how do you work in teams? Through the discussion posts, which I encourage you to respond to more than one post, not because you'd get extra points, but because of the fact that it makes the discussion forum more interesting. And you see various uh, um, responses to your posts and so forth. Again, remember, very respectful. Ethics and professional responsibility. I want to put a pin in ethics. Ethics and integrity go together. Ethics can make you successful. You can't go wrong being ethical. Unfortunately, our country has demonstrated from leadership unethical principles, not operating on truth. And people have been able to try to shape the truth to fit their agendas. Truth does not operate on the basis of your agenda. Truth stands all by itself. And you need to develop the ability to be able to be a truthful person, a person that has some integrity, or as I like to say what you mean and mean what you say. But make sure that you're not taking shortcuts. Like I talked about the quizzes and tests and things of that nature. Your papers, you're not using papers that you purchased somewhere and changing it to fit yours. You'll hear me talk about, you'll hear that mentioned in the video in a minute. But ethics is so important. I always tell my students that operate from 3 tiers, and students who have been, I've been at Rasmussen since 2011, and I have taught many students. I taught some business classes. I taught a little medical law and ethics, but I taught ethics and criminal justice. But the point of the matter is that I operate from the basis of producing students who are ethical, professional, and educated. So that's how I teach the class, and that's how I want you to perform in class, and that's what I want you to learn how to perform when you're a professional. Unethical practices can land you in jail. It could land you out of work. It's bad for you. We've even reached a stage, which is good, that now the code of silence is falling by the wayside in many jurisdictions, because it is being required that if you see something and you don't say something or do something, you could be complacent in it and you can go down as an accessory with that person. Somebody says that's not fair. No, the point of the matter is you need to operate and do the right thing. Professional responsibility, every area of criminal justice. As a lawyer, I had a code of conduct that said even the appearance of impropriety should not take place. So we want to make sure that you understand that you have your canons of ethics. You have, from any field that you operate in, you have certain procedures, and there are policies of the agencies and organizations, but of the field itself. There's usually what we call CEUs, continuing education units, that many organizations require, including Rasmussen, that we take to keep ourselves up to date so that we don't give you stale information. And then the final one is information literacy. We want you to use credible sources, credible resources. Your citations and references should be from credible sources. One of the best ways to make sure you have them is to use the resources of the Library and Learning Center. You can use Google, but you have to be careful about some of the websites. There is one source that we tell students never to use, and if you use it, you will lose a bunch of points and sometimes even get a 0. Does anybody know what that source is? What that source? It's not good information literacy. Yep, that's it. It's Wikipedia. That's correct. Never. Oh yeah, but it's good. I says no. Someone can change anything in there, and you will just rely on that information. It's a word-based document, which means that any individual can go in and change it and edit it and put anything they want in there. So a lot of people, they operate on the basis of Wikipedia to come up with their arguments on things. Not in this class, not in most classes. I tell you in a minute. And we usually remind you at the very beginning of the course. So make sure that you understand that. All right. Attendance policy, I'm not going to go over that. One of the last things I'm going to cover on this is the very important issue of late submissions. Now, in here, this is, again, the syllabus. You have up to 7 days to submit an assignment. So your assignments are due on Sunday, so you have until the following Sunday. However, here's the caveat. Starting with Monday, you will lose 10%. So that means that if you submit the perfect paper on Sunday, you'll get the 100 if it's perfect. If it's the same paper on Monday, it's going to be a 90. On Tuesday, it's a 80. On Wednesday, it's a 70. On Thursday, it's going to end up being a course, a D, or heading toward F. So you don't want to do that. Okay, very important. So be aware of that. I want to, before I talk about the next thing that's very important for me to complete this section, is that online discussion posts are due before the end of the week. That's why they're due on Saturdays for reply posts, with the exception of this week, obviously, but they're due on Tuesdays for initial posts. Obviously, you're not required to submit a post on Tuesday when, in fact, the class didn't start until the 12th, which was Wednesday. And so the point of the matter is that in all posts, if you're submitting them late, you're going to lose 1 point for each day late. Now, let me explain something to you about my policy. I will accept it if it's after that Saturday or Sunday and after that, but you will not get points. So think about what I just said. So it's basically the same thing. It says that it will not be accepted because we're on another topic. Discussion posts are your way of communicating with each other, as I said earlier, and with myself about the topic for that week. So we cover that, and then the following week we're on the next topic or subject. Now, if you submit a initial post and a reply post on Saturday, other than, remember, I'm not talking about week 1. I'm talking about the weeks other than this, really weeks 2 through 5. You will lose a point for the late initial post. And if your reply post is in order, you'll get your points. Now, on the other hand, if you submit at least an initial post on Saturday or by Saturday, you will then be allowed to submit Sunday a reply post. But the consequence is you will lose a point if it's late and it's a good post. Otherwise, you'll lose more points if it's not a quality post. So I have had students that try to didn't understand that. They tried to submit both of their posts on Sunday, just like this week. If you submit your post on Sunday, you're not going to get points for them. Not going to get points for them. Very important for you to be aware of that. Okay, I'm through with discussions. So here's the important thing for you to know about the up to 7 days deadline and losing 10%. This third paragraph says, and I read it, instructors may waive the late penalty or time frame in the case of extenuating circumstances as determined by the faculty. So there's your answer. Who has control over giving extensions? I do. Not your dean, not your advisor, not the president of the university, or anybody else. It's me, and they'll direct you back to me. The point of the matter is that I will make the call about what is extenuating circumstances. I'm going to just tell you up front, extenuating circumstances is not you had to work overtime. That's a time management issue. But I'm very flexible with extenuating circumstances. Now, you know, like if you have power outages and storms and things of that nature, somebody died, you were sick. We had a lot of it with COVID, but we're coming out of that now, thank God. And we have the hurricanes for our students in the southern part of the country, Texas, Florida, Georgia, up the East Coast, North Carolina, South Carolina. I had a few of those, not a lot of them. And a few in New York that were on the coast there. But the point of the matter is that when we know about that, we work with you in terms of that. I also never penalize a person who's in the military who is on duty and cannot do their assignments. I ask them to try to get them done earlier, but if they absolutely have trouble getting that done, then I will give them an extension in terms of time. Now, I didn't ask you to send me your orders. Don't send me your obituaries. Don't send me your letters from your doctor. This is college. I'm going to believe you. If you think you're getting away with something, I already talked about integrity. It will come back and bite you either in school or after school. I always say an unethical student becomes an unethical professional if they don't turn that around. And that's it for that. Don't pay attention to the rest of this stuff. because I don't operate on that basis, except the last sentence. In no circumstances submitted work after the academic term, which the 18th of June, even if it's 1 second after, so it's 12 o'clock, I can't do it. Unless an incomplete has been requested and granted. And this tells you how about the incomplete policy. I'm not going to spend time on that. Okay. There is something else that I don't see it in this one, but there is what we call accommodations. If you have accommodations, you can go to your accommodations coordinator, which generally is your academic dean, and request that. And then there's a process you have to go through. And I don't give the accommodations until I receive the information. Okay. So that's it. And then the academic integrity policy, you can take a look at yourself. And that's the syllabus. Now, other course and tools, other than those, if you need tutoring, there's a link for setting you up with tutors. But these resources, I want to take a minute and have you click on them. And if you look at this, it tells you about the tutoring platform. It tells you about sources where you can find search books that you need. APA, the Paralegal Blue Book, you can use that for citations. In this course, you won't use that too much. Grammarly. Every one of you have a Rasmussen Grammarly account. And if not, come to this page and create the account. And if you click where it tells you, you can set it up. It is very important that you understand Grammarly because I use it not so much for spelling and grammar, but I do. Because I told you that goes with the written and oral communication. But I use it for plagiarism. Plagiarism, as you might see in the academic integrity policy, is a little different from this. What this means is that most of your assignment is copied and pasted, or you use materials that are not very original, or you didn't give your citations in the body or references at the end. So the point of the matter is that make sure you check the box in your Grammarly for plagiarism. It won't do it automatically. Then these are noodle tools for formatting, and then the writing guide dealing with everything that you need. You can click on that as well. Frequently asked answers, guides by subject and topic, and there are webinars. Now, let me go to this for a minute. So if you go to guides, topics, as you can see, there's ours, Criminal Justice, School of Justice Studies. You click on it and gives you, let's put that up there, it gives you tabs for research, data, writing help, APA, how to use Blackboard Ultra, then something else that you deal with later, tutoring, and then criminal justice. Now, if you click over that, it leads you to one for drugs and crime. So if you click on that, it tells you about your assignments for drugs and crime, each of the modules, finding newspaper articles and things. The issue of the course project, you don't really have to worry so much about that anymore, but your written assignments, you still want to make sure that's important. Determine if your source is credible. You want to, as I said, make sure you use credible sources and that you don't use those that are not. And this is some of the things that help you there. Student Success Guide is in here. There's a test taking lab. to help you with quizzes and those kinds of things. And then communicating with the librarian, which is Dennis Johnson, and then tutor in Tutor Match. And then there's some more information about APA. So you have all of this material to help you there. Okay. Let me close this out. All right. So that's that. And then that's your resources. All right. So we're gonna go now. And also, by the way, you can see your announcements, archived announcements if you want, which you won't really have to do that so much in this course because they're going to be on the course homepage. So now I want to go back to the regular view. By the way, you'll notice that there are two sections of this course, but you're getting the same material, same information in one lecture each week. Section 1, some of you are in, some of you are in Section 2. All right. Now, you will notice that one of the things is that it tells you like today, this is what today is. And it also gives you a way to get to the link, but I'm going to show you other ways. I already mentioned earlier in the lecture before some of you came on. And then beginning next week, the 19th, 8:30 to 9:30. All right. So now let's take a look at the announcements. Yeah, I think I got everything. Oh, if you want to know who's in your course, you can also click on this, and this will tell you who it is. And you have that on one of your tabs too, and it lists how to reach us. And each of you just tells you the name of your classmates. There's nothing secret about it. Okay, that's this group in Section 1. There's another roster in Section 2. So those of you who are in Section 2 who are looking at this, these are not the people that you would be able to reach out to. You'd reach out to the ones in your section. All right, so now let's look at the announcements. So on your course announcements, there's a bunch of them. Now I've posted some, and I'm going to, before I get to this one, you already saw the welcome announcement. And this, it reminded you of the things that you need to do. It also reminded you about today's session, and it tells you that starting next Wednesday, the 19th, that lectures will take place. And then this is also another place to find the link as well. It'll be here the whole quarter. I have information to help you with the writing process, and it helps you to be able to find that information. But I showed you that in resources as well. If you submit, by the way, any information to the writing lab, I think it's 48 hours turnaround. You don't get an extension because you submitted it to them. So you need to submit it early enough to get it back. APA assistance. This is something that I put in to help my students. If you click on this link here, it opens up the library information to help you with library services, some of the things that I told you about. Research tools as well, something about tutoring as well, and the various programs, but you know what your program is. And so it tells you about APA, preventing plagiarism. One of the major ways of preventing that, other than the critical um, information that you provide, is to make sure that you cite your sources. We'll deal with that in a minute. how to set up your paper in-text citations, references, annotated bibliographies you won't have to worry about too much. But there's a whole myriad of things right here to help you as well. Okay, so that's the APA announcement. All right. Now, before we get to academic integrity video, which we're going to do in a minute, this is a video that I did to explain why you see at each weekly announcement, adversity is the springboard to success, where you won't be graded, but I do encourage you to take some time to listen to this. I've had students who told me that they've listened to this and shared it with their family or friends. It's okay. And this is the link, which is going to lead you to YouTube. And so if you come on and click on it, it will actually open up and lead you to the page. You see it's an hour and about 3.5 minutes. And you click on this and you'll hear me start talking. I don't think it's, yeah, you can put it on closed caption too if you want. So it does that. So anyway, I'm going to get out of that, but I do encourage you to take a look that you learn a lot about why I am the way that I am today. And you can feel free to discuss it with me as well if you want to, or you can email me about it as well. And so that covers this. So now let's look at the academic integrity video, which also is in under your resources tab. And so I'm going to click on this and I'm going to take off my headphones, but you may not be able to hear it very well, but I'm going to make sure the closed caption aspects of it and pay attention just about 4 minutes.
What is academic integrity? Academic integrity is making decisions in your academic life that are based on honesty, trust, fairness, responsibility, and respect. This means being honest in the work you do, while respecting the work that others do. So what is cheating? Cheating means distributing or receiving answers or information by any means other than those expressly permitted by an assignment's requirements or an instructor. Some examples of cheating include asking fellow students for answers or copying answers during a test, using notes, devices, or materials during the test that your instructor has not approved, purchasing papers from websites or other sources, copying your classmates' work, assisting a classmate in misconduct, and other violations as noted in the academic integrity policy that can be found in all course syllabus. Always ask your professor if it's okay to use notes during a test or to work together with classmates on an assignment or quiz. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another individual's work without giving them credit or taking another person's work and claiming it as your work. Some examples of plagiarism are turning in an assignment that someone else wrote, copying words or ideas from someone else. This can be a library resource, course textbook, internet resource, or other material without giving the original creator credit, failing to put quoted works in quotation marks, or using someone else's ideas in your essays, but changing a few of the words to make it sound like the words are your own. Plagiarism is not just about written words and ideas. It's possible to plagiarize images, graphs, coding, or video as well. So how can you avoid plagiarism? Cite your sources, both in the body of your paper as in-text citations and on your references page. Whenever you want to use words, images, media, or ideas that were created by another person, you should cite that person appropriately as the source of that information.
But how does academic integrity relate to the work world? Isn't it just a college thing?
No. Integrity in the workplace starts with good practices and skills built while you are a student. Would you turn in a project document to your manager as your own when someone else wrote it? Not if you want to keep your job. Individuals can be reprimanded or even fired from their job for plagiarism. Following academic integrity guidelines while you are in school builds those skills and ethical practices that carry through to the workforce.
Okay, I understand how they're connected, but what do I do if I need more help?
If you have questions on the academic integrity policy, consult your course syllabus, talk with your instructor or dean, and if you need assistance with APA citation style or how to avoid plagiarism, contact the Rasmussen Library team through our live chat or schedule a research appointment on our library website or through the resources tab of your course. If you would like APA tutoring, schedule an appointment with one of our peer tutors on the course resources tab.
Okay, so video that's also available in your resources tab, and it's also available on the course homepage. That gentleman in there is John Mladic, Dean John Mladic, who is over the Learning Center. And if any of you are tutors, then you know who works in that area, and you know, so she will be able to help you in that area, but that's her boss. All right. All right, so now that leaves me with the one announcement that I want to share with you. We're moving along pretty good here. This is week 1 announcement. Psychoactive drugs, categories, effects on the body, classification of controlled substances. And so I provided you with chapters 1 and 2 of the text, along with the PowerPoints that go with that. And you can complete the activities of the Controlled Substance Act, the let's see, I think my volume is up already. Let's see. Oops. I don't know what happened. There we go. Something happened. But anyway, you guys should be able to still hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. I don't know. My elbow hit something here. I don't know if I muted my microphone. Let's see if I hit the button there. Okay. But anyway, technology, tell you. So anyway, this is the announcement for this week, and that we deal with the topics of narcotics, amphetamines, cocaine, marijuana, and synthetic drugs. I will not be going over it as much detail as I will in the following weeks. I'm just showing you how it works this week. So it tells you about the lecture that's taking place right now, and it tells you that beginning next Wednesday that our regular lecture, and then it tells you the link that which is not really a hyperlink, but I have the hyperlink someplace else, and I'll show you. But you can copy and paste it. But those of you who are in the lecture already know. The discussion assignment is classification of drugs and controlled substances. And again, you know those are both due tomorrow. Finally, complete the quiz and the written assignment, impact of controlled substances, and it's due this Sunday. And then it reminds you about what's taking place right now, and it encourages you to start strong and finish strong. And my motto, which I explained to you, how you can learn about that by listening to that video that I shared. So those are the announcements. Now let's go to the module. As you can see, there each of the modules here. So I am going to go to, we have the overview, which you can take a look at. And the overview just basically tells you what things are due this week, the work, and so forth. We already been over that. Week 1 assignment, impact of controlled substances. Now, here it is. And the instructions, you deal with these points, these bullet points. All right. And provide, look at it says at least one credible source as APA formatted. Now, listen to me. Please pay attention and not just give me one. If you take information you just heard what the video said, cite your sources in the body and give a reference page. It should be APA, and you should know that's double space. All right. Your assignment should be grammatically correct, spelling, grammar, punctuation, in a 2 to 3 page paper. Does not count the cover page or the reference page. You should have it formatted properly so that the cover page is 1 page, properly formatted, and the reference page is properly based on how you provide APA references. I said earlier, Microsoft Word documents, and then you put it in the Dropbox. Now, as you can see, the due date, again, it's on the calendar, but that is the date that your assignment is due. And it tells you all of these different things here. This is stuff you don't have to worry about. This is stuff I deal with. And then there is a rubric. But I'm going to show you that in a minute. Module 1 for 60 maximum points. And here is the rubric. If you click on this, you will see the rubric. Now, I want to tell you right now, in the rubric, you have topics, criteria, social impact and information literacy, biological effects, information literacy. Remember, we already talked about that. Psychological effects, information literacy, credible sources, professional language, and that deals with making sure that you have done what you need to do, and that's the proper level. Now, notice this. I always tell my students that I feel like I could elite, throw this in the garbage, throw this in the garbage, throw this in the garbage, and then you should only have this one left. But they don't want me to do that. But when I set up, create my own rubrics, I always just have the one. And the reason why is because I elaborate on, or they give me the information to tell you what you need to get all of your points. Okay? So if you're going to get 100% of this, or 16% of the total grade, this 23. But notice what happens. If you read here, if you don't have credible sources, this is some credible sources, also minimal. But look at what happens. You end up over here. So I go down the rubric and I see, did you provide that? If you didn't provide any credible sources, you're going to just lose over half of these points. And throughout this too as well, because it requires credible sources. If they're missing, I can't put you in any of these. I can only put you in this. So I go straight down emerging, and your points, when they add up, are not so good. So what do I want you to do? Pay attention to the mastery column. By the way, credible sources is another way of saying citations. Citations. And then a reference page. It is very, very, very important that you understand that. So many students mess up because they give me references only. No. References is one thing, citations is another. If you paid attention to the lecture and you paid attention to the recording and what I've been saying all along, APA requires citations, not or, citations and references. If you have one reference, if you have four references and one citation, something's wrong. All of those sources that are listed as references should be reflected in the body of the paper. The body of the paper is where citations go. References do not go there. They go on reference page. All right. Oh, okay. So you know. See what she just said? I'll put it up there. She said she had me as one of her first instructors in the program. And the rubric, yep, is so important. Let me tell you guys why the rubric is so important. The rubric gives you the formula for success, and it provides you with objective expectations that we are looking for to see you maximize your grade. And that's what happens. If you minimize your grade by not giving, you says, well, I gave a reference or I gave a source. I says, okay, but look what it says here. It says accurate identification of substances. By the way, you're going to see something in a minute, Dave, because there's a fact pattern that you're going to use. I'll show it to you in just a few minutes as well that you use. All right. So it's very important that you understand what's going on here. But minimal details of the categories. Minimal. If you don't have any, you're going to end up over here. Minimal supporting details. See what I mean? From credible sources. Credible sources, but you didn't elaborate on them. You didn't give me more than one. You just gave me one. I want exemplary. Look at that word, exemplary. Get that in your head. Exemplary. Credible sources are cited in APA format with no errors. And the page, you have 2 to 3 pages, not 1.5. By the way, you can go beyond 3, I don't care, but make sure. But I'm going to run all your papers through Grammarly, and that's the rubric. Okay. Okay, let me go back to this. I think she's saying something that do not turn a paper in that you have time to complete. Turn in a paper you know you can complete. That's right. That's right. Do a good job. Put your best foot forward. That's the key right there. That's a good habit that I kind of thank you for sharing that, Jennifer, because and I know who you are. I remember my students. I say, oh, I remember this student. Not because they're repeating this course, but because they did well in my other course. I think you were in Introduction to Corrections. Is that the one you were in? Introduction to Corrections. Which one? Was it Introduction to Corrections, Jennifer? I think it was Introduction to Corrections that you had me for. You can type it in the chat box. Or either criminal, no, introduction to criminal law, but I think it was that one. Yeah, it was. Yeah, yeah, it was introduction to corrections. Yeah, and I spent a lot of time talking about this. I think until I was blue in the face, and it's kind of hard to tell when I'm blue in the face. Okay, you can laugh because it's funny, but I'm trying to get a point across is that, and as we say, ad infinitum or ad nauseum, that means I just keep saying it and saying it and saying it. But I do, and it's very important. So, all right. So that's that. Now, I want to show you something. The scenario. Here it is right here. You have to click on this and download the scenario. You need to save this scenario because this is the scenario that you're going to deal with each week, the same one throughout the whole course. Here it is. Okay, it's coming up. Okay. All right. And so this is the scenario that you're going to use. All right. I'm not grading it. So it's making this little pop up. That's okay. So this is the scenario. You're going to use it the entire each week. Okay. That's what you're going to need to utilize to do your assignments. So you, like I said again, if it was me, I would take it and I would save it as, and then, you can go through and browse and put it on your desktop. You can do that, which I just did by hitting that. Oh, I want to cancel it because I already got it on there. So, but anyway, I was just showing you how that operates. Okay. Don't save. Okay, so you know where that is. So it's very important for you to be aware because first thing says, wait a minute, I don't know how do I find out about Dave's circumstances? I just showed you how to find it. Okay. So that's the written assignment. All right. Your discussion post, you're dealing with the classification of drugs. And I'm not going to go down too far because it will start showing discussion posts. So it'll tell you your initial post. Choose a drug from the following list and then discuss these issues relating to it. And then in your reply post, respond to a student with a different drug. Okay, that's what you do here. Remember what I said, discussion activity is hidden until you post. It says a response. What that really means is your initial post. I hate that they use that word because that makes people think it's a reply post. No, you'll see it after you've posted your own initial post. Then everybody else's will pop up. Okay. Now, then you have your quiz. And then I cut that out quick because the quiz shows up. I hate that they do that, but that's what happens. So the actual quiz, some of the questions you would see them, and I don't want this to be in a recording. So with the quiz, you know the time limit, 30 minutes, and you want to make sure that you get this done the first time. And I did say I do recommend doing that after you've gone through all the materials. Okay, we got about 10 more minutes and we're coming along pretty good. Now, for people who want to know where to find the link, you go under live classroom recording. There it is. Now, it tells you when it's taking place. Now, if you click on it, it will bring you to where we are now, and I'm not going to do that because that'll add another person. But here's what, here it'll add another me in there and create echoing. But what's going to happen, just so you know, that after this lecture is recorded and converted to what Jennifer would be able to tell you is a document from YouTube, you'll be able to see that link right here, because I will take that out and put that in here and hyperlink it, and you'll be able to see it. But at the same time, I will do what I did in the other class. I emailed it to each student as well. So a lot of students don't even end up having to come here unless you don't check your emails. So it will be here as well. Why do I do that? Because sometimes there's trouble with WebEx. They do all kinds of work on it. And my students using YouTube, you can use it everywhere. I mean, I get it right here on my phone. I have WebEx too, but I can go to YouTube and see my videos. I got thousands of them. I mean, from the years I've been teaching, where I've been saving them as well from that. Maybe hundreds, not thousands. So that's where you'd find that information. And then, of course, here, when you get the phrase that I'm going to give you that you use for your points, is that you can put your answer in here, type it in. Should be able to type it in there. I don't know why. In the box. Okay. Oh, I know why. Okay. Because I'm not showing you it in the grade book in that. But so anyway, this is your drop down box that you use. So use the editor to answer and put the answer in there, and then you get 5 points if you get it right away. You have an advantage because you're here, because you're going to have it and you'll be able to do it. And one of the grades said the first grade that you'll get will be your points for that as well. And each week that's how it's done. Okay. So now each week I will basically go over some of these areas for you, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over them. So I would talk about you take a look at this, and it explains the Controlled Substance Act and the war on drugs, and it gives the statutes, and it gives the schedule of controlled substances that you need to be aware of. Now, let me say this from the beginning. The issue that we're dealing with is almost like health, because I equate drugs or substance abuse as a sickness. And you will discover, and hear me say this so many times that it will come out of your ears, that there is a strong correlation between drugs and crime. In other words, people commit crimes to support their drug habits. And most of these are not bad people. And you're going to discover also that there are people who advance to some of these Schedule 1 drugs, 2, 3. And by the way, one of the drugs that's on Schedule 1 is marijuana. But I expect that to come off because of the legalization in many jurisdictions. But they list the more serious the drug, the lower the schedule. So Schedule 1 is like A is serious, B or either 2 is not as serious, as the next level. So it goes down, so that by the time you get to 5, you're talking about Robitussin and things like that nature, cough syrups and things like that. All right. But people utilize these things. I've had people that I represented who were caught in this. Now, this is an activity that you can do yourself. to help you to study and prepare. And it's a knowledge check. So you click on this and then read the question. Select the correct answer for peyote. So what do you think peyote is? Schedule 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? By the way, peyote was used in a lot of Native American ceremonies, but that has changed. So what do you think peyote is? Just if you don't know, take a shot at it. Remember, um, you think it's 2? Okay. Let's see if you're right. That's not right. It's schedule 1. I knew that. And the reason why I said that is because what you will learn is that the most serious drugs, the ones that are more addictive or that have serious consequences, are schedule 1. So if you did that, you would have it right. And then you continue PCP. What do you think that is? Angel dust fits in the same category. I'll tell you what it is not. It is not a 5. For those of you who think it's a 2, the answer is it's a 2. There it is. So you can study. That's how you study and prepare. So that's what's there to help you. And then wrapping up here, narcotics. And this gives you some more information for you to study. What are narcotics and things of that nature? What are amphetamines? The origin of methamphetamine, and so forth and so on. What is cocaine? You'll hear me talking a lot about this during the course of our future lectures. But primarily you'll hear me talking about crack, marijuana, cannabis sativa, or Mary Jane, as somebody called it. Mary Jane was also the name of a candy, but and then also Rick James, the late Rick James, who was a singer. I knew him. I got to meet him. Boy, he stay high. But him and his girlfriend Tina Marie, who sang. But they had a song called Mary Jane, and I went to a big concert of his, and they had 2 big joints at the University of Illinois campus that you could see. Anyway, they weren't real, but anyway. So marijuana and the effects of marijuana and so forth. So you'll get a chance to study that as well. Synthetic drugs. These are manufactured drugs that you're going to find out that you can get them all over the place. Spice, um, THC. These things alter the mind. They all do, but they're manufactured, and they come from usually countries like China or Mexico or places like that. But you can find them in stores. They look like candy in there. Matter of fact, uh, you go to some of these gas stations, you would see them. So synthetic drugs. So then finally, we already been over this, but you can find more information about the transferable skills, and it explains some of the things. And then there's a nice video here that you can look at as well. So anyway, that's it for me. Right on time. Anybody want to guess what I might give you for week one key phrase? Want to guess it? Type it in the chat box. Anybody want to take me on? That's a good guess, but that's not it. That's closer to it. Okay, you each tried it. How about this? What's the name of this course? Yes, that's part of, okay. Remember, I already said that drugs lead to crime. Yes. The issue that I want you to give me is not just drugs. We give me drugs and crime for your points. All right, guys, it's about that time for me to say good night to you guys. I hope that you've been helped. I hope also that I've helped you to. I keep teaching students how to navigate the system better because I'm told by some students that this new because I think Jennifer, when you were not were you in this last term? Did I have you this last spring? Did I have you T1 in or did I have you before that? No, I mean in yeah, in corrections because I taught it this past term. Um, were you in that class last year? So then what I'm about to say is this is that um, it was different about how you saw the stuff. So now you got this new system here. So it's the same information. It's just a little different. But I was going to say with drugs and crime before, you had the rubric and all of that, but the difference now in drugs and in corrections that I had this past term is that people had to learn how to navigate the system using Ultra. We all did, and we still are learning. So drugs and crime is what you give me, and you put it in that drop box like I showed you, and you have your points. I'll see you next week, Tuesday. I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying Tuesday. Uh, Tuesday is introduction to criminal law. Wednesday, each Wednesday, starting the 19th at 8:30 p.m. and we'll pretty much get out pretty close to that hour. But later on, there's a video that I'm going to be sharing. So, but thank you. Yeah, Jennifer, you do know my story. You know my story, and it is something that you should know. And I use that because I'm very transparent with my students. I feel close to all of my students. And then I remember names of students. It's too funny that I haven't always met all of my students face to face because I don't get a lot of people from here. Like for example, make this point. Jennifer, where are you from? What state are you from? Where is you're okay, you are here. Oh, okay. So you're here, but you're not at Romeoville, are you? I think aren't you in Aurora? Oh, you're oh, you're in the uttermost parts of the world. Yeah, yeah, you're in the Chase Bank building, right? You know what I'm talking about, right? That's that's where the Rasmussen campus is. By the way, have they changed the signs over there yet to university? Do you know? Because okay, Illinois is one of the last states that's going to change. Casey, where are you? And make sure, by the way, you put it privately that you put it so that everybody can see it. Casey, what state are you in? Minnesota. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a lot of students in Minnesota. Which campus do you identify with in Minnesota? Which one? Because I know there's Mankato. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I got a cousin that went to uh yeah, well, yeah, everything is remote learning for criminal justice. Except up there in Minnesota, uh, there is a point where you have to deal with that post test if you're going to be in law enforcement. I don't know if you're going to be in law enforcement or not, Casey, but it's there. I got several students who are in law enforcement that are on departments up there. Um, Two of them I know for a fact. One's a former student. Well, both are former students now. They're in St. Paul, and they're in the department. So yeah, so I'm very familiar with your state up there. All right, guys, that's where Rasmussen actually started in Minnesota, which I don't understand why their colors were green and gold, because that's Packer colors. They should be purple and gold, because that's what they call the Vikings, purple people eaters. But anyway, I like the color purple. Northwestern University colors. Go Wildcats. We beat the Gophers a lot up there. Okay. All right, guys. I'll let you go. I'll see you next week. Stay safe. Take care of yourself. I hope you guys are feeling well. Um, Hopefully, pretty soon they'll be able to do away with the mask. I got my shots, so I'm one of those people that they were talking about, but I still have to wear a mask until they officially do it. But I got my wife, I got my kids that are taking a shot. My 12-year-old, she's now 13, is getting ready to take the shot coming up soon. So by September, they should have the younger kids all vaccinated. So let's get back to normal. How about that? Oh, thank you. Good to have you too. Glad to have. She said, and she said it privately again. She didn't change it, but that's okay. Um, Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. I'm always, students come looking for me, not to not to beat me up or anything, but they want to take my classes. I have a lot of students. I usually, people who graduate usually have an average of 3 to 4 classes with me, because I teach those courses over and over. All right. Good night. Last time. See you next week. Bye bye.